3, 2, 1, go!
Welcome to the Set Count, your source for tournament results, storylines, and analytics set to the tune of your speakers. I'm your host, MVG Vayseth, and I was bombarded all day on Twitter about replacing that translator who failed during the Switch presentation. Your next host is Suar, who is also bombarded on Twitter all day for his wonderful, highly acclaimed and loved PGR. How you doing, Suar?
I am battling a cold, and I'm great.
That's all you have to say?
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing well. You know, we're in the second day of release, going into now the third tomorrow. Everything's been peachy, despite some bumps, but, you know, that's how you learn. It's how you learn, and here we are. Live and learn.
That's true. And our other host, who wasn't bombarded on Twitter today because his X Factor, while it's off the charts, is not quite out there in results, is Unrivaled Sage.
How's it going?
Dude, it's good. It's doing good. It's doing well. But as some of you may have noticed on Twitter, we have an additional special guest today. We have with us the TO extraordinaire, the mercenary for hire, Bear.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Dude, I am so excited to have you on here.
No, I am too. I remember way back when, Vayseth, when we talked about, like, hey, we should do podcasts.
That's true. I forgot this podcast was originally, just so you guys know some behind the scenes, this podcast was supposed to be a TO only podcast.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be myself, Bear, and Champ talking about various tournaments and whatnot. And
Glad we were an afterthought.
No. Swear, I told you this when we first met too. Cause all right, I'll tell this story. I'm in Japan and I was like, yo, we don't have enough content. We need this. Bear. We make a good team. Like, everyone always talks about us and Champ as like the TOs or whatever, obviously me being a distant third. So in order to boost the popularity of myself, I need to host this podcast and leech off you guys. And obviously they didn't like that idea. No, I'm just joking. They are the most busy people I know, and I have lots of free time. So a podcast was kind of out of their wheelhouse. So hopefully they'll be making guest appearances like today. But yeah, and then I met Suar and realized this is the guy I need. And then I already knew Sage from Big House, so that's how this podcast was actually born. It was originally supposed to be me, Champ, and Bear, and now we have myself, Sage, and Suar doing a lot of good work here. So this is the third episode. Really excited. And before I keep talking, I want to go over the introduction, but if anybody else has anything to say before we do that.
I'm glad to be a sloppy second.
Jesus Christ.
No, you know what, dude? First of all, I just want to let you guys know this is great. I really do appreciate you guys doing this. The first episode was awesome. Second episode is good. You know, you guys definitely build up on the positives and, you know, healed up on the negatives. But it's been really wonderful. Like, honestly, I know it's kind of stupid to be like, yeah, I've been so busy working on video games, but like, honestly, like, I just had so much stuff, like all these other projects that like I can say and not say, but I am so honored that you guys like have like taken this and really made it into light. So I do appreciate it. You know, I hope people do appreciate this when they listen to it, because I mean, I listen to it every time you guys posted it, so I'm very happy to be on board. So thank you for letting me be your first guest on this program. It's really nice.
Aww.
That's cute.
No, dude, that was definitely going to be the plan, especially with Genesis coming up, and we know that Genesis is kind of like, well, for me, it's like the Big House. That's my one that I just pour everything into, and I know Genesis is yours. Like, we do a bunch of different events, but like Genesis is like your thing, so we wanted to make sure to bring you on. So just to get in the schedule today, once again, Suar is going to be running us the numbers. We're going to talk about a couple events that happened over the weekend, including Genesis Saga and another Tokai G qualifier that happened in Japan, amongst others. Then we're going to go right into a Bear Q&A, where we have some questions from people online who have submitted some questions, as well as we're going to talk a lot about Genesis. We have a lot of questions for Bear ourselves. Talk about various things that have been talked about throughout the last few months, compendiums and whatnot. Plus, we're actually going to bring you our first in the series of major top 8 predictions, and we're going to find out between Sage, Suar, and myself. Bear, you can, of course, participate if you want, but no guarantees you'll be in all of them. But we're going to keep a running tally to see who has correctly called the top 8 and the winner of all the Tier 1 majors going forward. last we'll be doing the run back and wrapping up. So lots of us are actually. Who's going to Genesis? Just me and Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Yeah, it's just you and I, buddy.
Okay, so I know Bear and I actually have to leave in like 2 hours. So we're gonna be crazy with Genesis, but so we want to make this as quick and within that hour as originally promised. So we'll move immediately right on over to the numbers.
So, a lot of key events happening this weekend. A lot of key
Jammed out,
events.
man.
That was your cue.
Jesus. All right.
That was your cue, and you just
Okay,
stood
but
there.
it's gonna be edited. All right. So after the
Nope,
little
I'm
numbers
keeping that.
sound plays.
Don't edit it. Do not edit it.
Anyways,
It's time for the numbers.
so the numbers coming in with some key events that happened from around the world. We obviously got to talk about the premier circuited event from 2GG, which is Genesis Saga. We had 466 people attending. This is now a regular number in SoCal, to be honest. 466 people attending in the coveted eSports arena in Santa Ana, California. We had 0 taking it over Komoro Kiri 3-1 in grands. Now, it was pretty dominant from what we saw. We're seeing, early 2015 0 make an appearance in early 2017 with obviously taking out 2GG's own Como to the upset of many. But I think he looks I think he looks ready for Genesis. He definitely looks ready. Moving on to Europe, we have the NH Smash 3, which actually was sporting 123 people and featuring the honored guest of Larry Lur, who was just competing the other week in Germany. So I'm sure he's visiting Mr. R, who won the tournament by actually getting a upset on Larry. After Larry won 3-2 in winners, Mr. R upset with a 3-1 and then took the whole tournament 3-2. The Sheik and Fox matchup showed up once again, reminiscent to the Void and Larry Lur match that we tend to often see. Then
That's actually pretty interesting because I think Mr. R tweeted something immediately after that where he's like number 2 in his country, but like number 1 in Europe. Kind of like Abadongo is like ranked lower in Japan than he is globally.
Yeah, a lot of these top players, they don't compete regularly in their own region, and panelists can't really justify sometimes when they don't have those results. I mean, I can definitely empathize with that. But yeah, that was congratulations to Mr. R for taking that tournament. And then again, sporting 123 people in Europe is always something to look out for. And then heading straight into Japan with 2 events. First of all, Sulabra Tokai G qualifier with 112 people. Hero took it over Raito with a Bayonetta 6-0ing a duck hunt. I mean, props to Raito with the duck hunt, taking second at this stacked event. And then the Karisuma Tokai G qualifier with Renai taking it over Chansu 4-0. Obviously 2-0ing him twice due to a bracket that wasn't set up to be best of 5.
Right. Just to clarify on that, when Shudabuda went to finals and they announced it was 3 out of 5, everyone on Twitter kind of freaked out. They're like, wait, all of the other qualifiers up until this point have not been 3 out of 5. But evidently they got permission from Tokai G to do it 3 out of 5 for that specific tournament, which is why it's 6-0 versus 4-0.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's news.
Yeah.
In any case, Renai took it all over 120 people. So congrats to Renai with the villager in the cut. And then we go over actually to the Caribbean and Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, sporting a Arcadian with 103 people. The Smash Gaiden series with the Cell Games, with Shaka Omega taking it over Black SP after an upset that almost cost them the tournament, with Black SP resetting him against winners, and then Shaka Omega taking the whole thing 3-2. That being a combination of Captain Falcon and Mewtwo over Black SP's Fox. Congratulations, even though it is an Arcadian, I mean, you still get a crowd. And within these 5 events, we topped almost 1,000 people competing worldwide, in what we recognized at least, with a total of 924 competitors across all 5 tournaments, with the bulk of that literally being 2GGC Genesis Saga. So congrats to everybody that was featured in the numbers this week. We're always on the lookout for results. So if you have any tournaments that you think deserve attention or have over 100 people, which is kind of our basic threshold right now because there's plenty of tournaments that happen every weekend, please give us a shout out at the set count on Twitter and let us know what you think.
That's insane. Second straight week we've had 1,000 or close to 1,924. Still pretty darn close, and we're already guaranteed that next week, right? Right, Bear? Bear, how many do we have right now?
For Genesis?
Yeah.
Like how many people?
Yeah, for Wii U specifically, just singles.
Oh, okay. It's last I checked before people dropped out, a couple people did, is 1,118.
Oh wow, see? So we actually somehow beat numbers from last year because it looked like we were going to take a 10 to 25. Well, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so real quick, since I think I want to, we'll talk about Genesis Saga, of course, but I want to talk about the Tokai G qualifiers. So, for those who don't know, Tokai G is run by a huge corporation in Japan called Dowango, and Dowango owns the Nico Nico Doga platform, which is it came up right around the same time that YouTube came up, but it's sort of super in Japan. I'm sure you've seen the Japanese videos with all the white text and the comments flying across the screen. That's kind of like their thing. When you type in a comment, instead of just being in Twitch chat, it actually comes up across the screen while you're watching it. And they have been running a tournament every year where Sakurai or Nintendo has been, and that's actually because Nintendo owns part of Dowango. So whenever you see Sakurai with, like for example in 2015, Zero and Mewtwo won doubles at Apex 2015, and they got a ride to go to Tokai G, and that's where you saw Sakurai with Zero and Mewtwo. The next year, it was, I believe, Ally and Nairo who were supposed to go in an 8-person invitational tournament, but Ally could not make it at the last minute, so it ended up being a 7-person tournament with Nairo taking it. And then this year, they've expanded it to 16 slots. So basically, we have 10 slots that are available at qualifiers all over Japan leading up to Tokai G, which will be, let me check, February 11th. It's a one-day 16-person qualifier, and qualified for it right now is Abadango, Kare, Ikepi, the Bayonetta, Kameme, Shuton, Ranai, and just this past Ranai qualified this past weekend, and also Hiro. So right now we have 2 to 3 Bayonettas, I believe, already qualified. And the last 3 slots that are for qualifiers, 8, 9, and 10, will be at Umebura on February 4th. So the 2 biggest tournaments, Smabato and Umebura, they will get the premier slots. They get top 3 qualified to the tournaments, and these smaller ones, like Karisuma, Shurabuda, etc., those ones will get only the winner will get to qualify for them. As for the other 6 slots, those are to be determined, or to be announced, I should say. But it should be very, very, very interesting, and I hope everyone pays attention to that tournament, especially with the history it has so far and where it's going to go from here.
Now, something that I want to point out is I just learned all of that now, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are also hearing that for the first time, and that just goes to show you the sort of crazy amount of infrastructure being built elsewhere for this game when we're so hyper-focused on the North American scene. So there's definitely a lot of work that tournament organizers and community leaders from around the world are putting on. I mean, for example, even just that Arcadian in the Dominican Republic, like...
Yeah, Latin America's exploding. Like, if you look at YouTube statistics, it's crazy the amount of, like, things we get of viewers from the Latin American region. It's really, really interesting.
Also players, honestly. I feel like in terms of players, like the next wave of like top players that you're like, dear lord, this guy's demolishing. I feel like Latin America really is gonna like limelight really well coming into 2017. And also, I feel like Canada in general, a lot of people sleep on Montreal and BC. I think those areas are going to be definitely, like, as they come, they get more money. Like, and it all comes down to disposable income. As these, like, I mean, kids, not the diminished on their age, but the average age of Smash 4 is really young. So we don't have like average age of Melee is like 27. A lot of these guys have beards. They drink beer. They're not necessarily like, they're not like 16, 17 in high school maybe about to go into college, barely have any money to like fly out to like every single event every month. But like as the game grows, like you're gonna see a lot more of these people trying to pull in a lot more money and traveling, and it's really wonderful to see. And like MKLeo is like a definitely prime example of how this is gonna come about, and I'm definitely gonna see expecting to see a lot more of that caliber.
Actually, on the whole Canada thing, I am honored to have the privilege to actually spend a week in Toronto. They're going to have a Toronto Arcadian right after Genesis on the 28th, and I will be leaving, I think, on the 26th or 27th to go help them out with that and meet the TOs, meet the players. And an interesting tidbit that I found out, one of the reasons we don't see these players traveling so often, especially Ontario, Montreal, like that whole region being like the biggest for Smash in Canada, is it's cheaper to fly to Japan than it is to fly to British Columbia. So if there isn't a event on the East Coast, like Ontario just doesn't show up. They can't show up. It's impossible. Like I'm dead serious about it being more expensive to fly across the country than it is to fly across the world out of Toronto Airport.
Yeah.
That's why you don't see a lot of them in signing up for Genesis or anything either. It's impossible.
That's so weird. Like, I wouldn't have guessed.
I agree. And like I'm from Detroit, so sometimes it's way cheaper for me to fly, like get to Toronto to fly to Japan. Sometimes it's half as much.
And even Canadians, they'll drive down from Toronto into Buffalo and fly from Buffalo because it's cheaper. Buffalo, New York, for people that didn't know where Buffalo was.
It's really interesting. But yeah, to wrap up the whole Tokai G thing, I'm really excited to see what will happen last year. Now, a lot of people have been, back and forth about it because the last two tournaments. So we had 0 winning with Captain Falcon, I believe, in 2015. Immediately, Sakurai's there. Captain Falcon gets the nerf. Then the next year, Abadango wins, I think. Yeah, I believe it was Abadango who won with Meta Knight. Immediately afterwards, Meta Knight gets the nerf. So a lot of people are really scared of this tournament.
The up air, like that specifically was nerfed. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, if someone like whoever does win that event and what character they use, if there is any more updates, I will not be surprised if something gets changed.
So that will be interesting. It's always, especially since they're expanding this tournament more and more and more every year. I wonder what they're going to do for 2018, but at least for 2017, they've said top 16 qualifier, 10 spots at tournaments leading up to Tokai G. The other 6 slots are yet to be announced. So really interested to see how that tournament will play out, especially if something like, imagine Renai wins. Like, are they going to nerf like Villager? Like, are you kidding me?
So what you're saying is let the Bayonettas win.
Please.
Right. So the fact that there's so many Bayonettas here, everyone's like, yes. I'm dead serious. Like, everyone's like super happy there's so many Bayonettas in here. And it's actually pretty interesting because there's players like EKP or whatnot who have been really good with Bayonetta, and actually EKP told me that he likes Bayonetta after the patches because he just likes the character in general, and it just allows him to do a lot of really cool things that he likes. And before, it was too streamlined where the best option was the easy 0 to death kill whatever, but now that she's been nerfed, he has a lot more freedom to play with these combos that he's been using ever since she came out. So it's pretty interesting, but still she's gonna get nerfed. She's gonna get like, that's gotta happen. So, but yeah, that's my Tokai G spiel before we talk about the genesis of Smash 4 in 2017. So, who watched it?
2016, or what do you mean?
2016 Genesis?
No. Genesis Saga. We're talking about Genesis Saga. It's on the show notes.
You can go first, Sage.
So who watched it this past weekend?
I watched a good chunk. Not all of it, but a good chunk.
So, actually, Sage, I want to talk to you specifically about eSports Arena's production value at the tournament, because we saw Zero Saga, we talked about Zero Saga, and we saw what happened this weekend. And I won't lie, there's a lot of times where I felt like they were on like a movie set.
For Genesis Saga?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was definitely a huge improvement from Zero Saga. It was, they obviously had a lot more nicer cameras. I know eSports Arena provided them a bunch of the equipment that they used, so they had the ability to kind of play with angles, and they did those, they did all those crowd shots, which were really cool. The big thing that was lacking for me was the audio. Going through different camera angles had different audio mixes for the crowd. The stage camera was totally mute. I don't know if they were doing like a per scene audio type deal or something, or if it was just kind of too much for one board operator to handle to also do the audio mixing. And then on top of that, when they were back on the commentators and throughout the day, when it was just like early pools and stuff, you could very clearly have Champ or whoever was doing the announcing was just in the mix, like really loud. And
there was nothing else. And then when he put down the mic, they were still muffled. You couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, so there were a lot of audio issues for me. I mean, it still was a good viewing experience. A couple of the cameras were out of focus. That bugged me. And then outside of that, though, like the crowd mic during top 8 is great. It's something that has to be controlled, though, as you move through a production. Like, you can't just leave it on and go, all right, it's on, let's go. Because it's just going to become... It's going to become the announcement mic at some point where you just hear Champ yelling for players to go to their pools. And that took away from my early pools watching experience because it was like equivalent to the game volume. And it was just like, I don't think they needed it on when there wasn't so much of a crowd. Just like, it's something that you can turn on when you know like hype matches are coming or at some point in the tournament, like after most of the announcements are done and you're not going to deal with that, then throw that crowd mic up a little higher and let it go. Same thing like when the casters were on, you could see people in the back and you could hear them like making announcements and it was like, I just want to listen to the casters. I don't need the crowd mic right now. Anything crowd related, you're going to, if it's interesting, it'll pick up through the caster mics based on where they were. Or you're just going to have like, you don't need it. It wasn't necessary during the whole time.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here to talk about that because I noticed a couple of those things, but I couldn't have the technical expertise. But I also did notice a lot of people talking about how amazing the production was, and I think that I'm a little bit nitpicky, and I noticed a lot of things, like especially the transition during games between various layouts that they were doing and overlays, where it would be like full screen, and then it would go into player cam, and then back to full screen, and suddenly a player cam would pop up out of nowhere, and it was like very distracting and jarring. But the audio thing was something I actually forgot about, especially when we're doing when the MC was there for top 8. That was something I definitely noticed as well.
Yeah, the scene transitions, it's something that is an interesting idea to play with. I think if you're going to do scene transitions, though, you need a cleaner overlay. You need something that's going to be, like, super minimalistic, and then you can play with, like, having little fly-ins. And if you're going to do, like, if you're going to do camera fly-ins, that's cool, but you need to make sure that they're not just, like, and they're on. And now they're off. Like it was really weird because it was just like it looked like they just like got added and then were just like removed instantly. There wasn't a transition to it.
So as you know, just my perspective, because I don't think if people know that, you know, I don't come from like video games the whole time. Like I worked in production for advertisements and for a long time, and the way we kind of work with narratives and movement of cameras and like scenes, like, you know, as Smash 4 specifically gets more esports, you know, we're gonna have to have, you know, better transitions where it really just tells the story. You don't necessarily need that much explanation of what's going on, you know. And what they're doing is great, honestly. I know they're just testing everything out, make sure see what works and what's not. But, you know, I'm really happy to see that, you know, tournaments are no longer using webcams. Like honestly,
Yeah.
like I'm just happy.
Yeah.
Like I'm just so happy. Like I'm just happy not to see like some crappy webcam. Like, and that's all I care about is like it's getting better.
I liked a lot of the ideas that they tried to implement. I just think they need to kind of clean up the actual implementation.
I will say, however, that it is, as Bear said, like the natural progression in things, and you're gonna have those growing pains. But I do want to give a shout out at least to Silent Doom, the commentator from Europe. I mean, he
was so good.
Such a show, and I think that the thing that really like not shook me to my core. I mean, geez, it wasn't like crazy. Like it wasn't negative impacting, but it was very like compelling to think like this guy had to come from Europe to get noticed on the national stage, because essentially 2GGC Genesis Saga was the national stage for that weekend. But I feel like he hasn't been able to do so much of what he's, you know, really good at doing because he lives in Europe. But it also just illustrates like wow, like there's so much talent everywhere, and sometimes getting that opportunity. I mean, I don't know how he got to Genesis. I don't know if he saved up money or if he was a compendium. Either way, I'm just so happy he finally gets to shine. Like that's so great.
Suar, you'll be very happy. Actually, the reason why he was there earlier because I hired him for Genesis 4 commentary like way back when. So like he decided just to take like extended like break to come and do both. Like all like he's basically here for Genesis 4, but he wanted to come to SoCal prior. So he's gonna be on the mic for Genesis 4. I'm really excited to have him on. I definitely saw a lot of talent in him like throughout the like basically the whole year of 2016. You can definitely see he cares about the game. He also plays it, which is really I think important for commentators. That it's you can tell when someone doesn't play the game, but all of them do. The ones that I really respect, but he's definitely just has a he also has good synergy with no matter who he's paired with, and which is what I really like about him. Like you can put him with like a balloon, and you'll be fine with that. I don't
I don't know about balloons, but all right, let's go.
he just seems like he just works with anybody.
Yeah, it was really cool, especially last week after we talked about commentators that we had just such a dynamite performance from him, and I think he's on MSM like this weekly too.
Ooh,
He's definitely on my list of commentators that I plan to contact and use in the future. So,
same.
yeah, how he does it, Genesis 4, he might be receiving some DMs from me soon.
Nice.
I think that he'll be receiving a lot of DMs in general because, like, he's one of the few commentators who can be like extremely refined and also messy and have it work. Like he can like joke around and be like a super colorful personality, but then when it comes to, push comes to shove, he's like talking in such a way about the game that like we honestly don't deserve it. Like I'll just be real, like he's so good. Like he's so intelligent is the thing.
Also, I mean, and not to play the devil's advocate here, but having an accent in commentating is like a huge asset.
I'm in love with it. I'll say it. Like, it makes it sound better. I'll be real. It sounds so good. It sounds so good.
And honest, and statistically speaking, I mean, and when we used to cast for ads, like if you wanted to sound smart, you hire a British person.
That's a linguistic thing. I did linguistics in college and stuff, and there's actually a couple comedy YouTube channels out there about it where they said like it must suck to be like a low HQ guy with like a British accent because everyone's just expecting you to be smart. But if you're like this really smart guy with a Southern accent, no one has any expectations and they're just blown away. Like it's a very real linguistic phenomenon where people have these preconceived. There we go. Preconceived notions.
Use your words.
Of what kind of person is just based on what kind of accent they have, just because everybody has stereotypes built in already, and it goes as far as accents. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and that's great though. Honestly, and it doesn't take away from his performance. He still hits those markers of what I would see as a quality commentator.
Yeah. But we spent a lot talking about commentary last week and this week, but really it's all about the players, and this bracket was absolutely insane. So we had two extremely huge early upsets, where we had, I believe is it pronounced Eon? Eon? I pronounce it Eon because I like whenever I don't know how to pronounce something, I just default to Japanese pronunciation. So I'm sorry, Eon, or
Eon,
Eon,
I'm pretty sure.
Eon defeats 6WX32, and I think it was DSS who beat Komorikiri in pools. Is that what happened?
DSS beat DeBuzz.
DeBuzz in pools. So wait, who beat Komorikiri then? Was it Eon who beat him?
Eon beat Komorikiri 2-0 in pools. That's how he got out.
Okay, in pools as well. Yeah, so it was those two, and so they got the top 48 winners, defeating DeBuzz and Komorikiri, sending them on one of the most legendary losers brackets we've seen probably since Zero at the Big House 5.
Yeah. DSS also just I know he plays Ness, but he went Meta Knight against DeBuzz. So learn the matchup.
It's just kryptonite, dude. Like, oh my god.
I think this is just a statement to the whole world. Learn the matchup against Meta Knight or you're gonna get blown up.
Yeah. That character is still very, very, very good. But like going into top 8, you had Mr. E, who notably beat Zero before, took a game off of him, and it was like fairly decently close at UGC, and then Zero just bops him this time. 3-0. It looks like everyone's really taking their Marth practice seriously, and I know that Zero has been streaming a lot about Marth, so that just goes to prove. But then we go into top 8, and Zero shows that Mario is still one of his trickiest characters, as Zenyu almost nearly knocks him into losers. A very, very close 3-2 set with Zenyu.
Yeah, and also Zero did something interesting against Zenyu, and he pulled out a banana, which I mean, am I correct? Because I've definitely his strategy was to do no banana Diddy against Mario, and for many tournaments against Ally and definitely a lot of other Marios I've seen him play, so it's interesting to see how he played it out with Zenyu, but Zenyu is definitely one of the Marios, and not just a Mario main, but as a player, I've known him since like 2015, like even like before things got like huge in Smash 4. He's definitely a very dedicated player, knows like studies really well, and very underrated in my opinion in SoCal.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting to see that. When I spoke to Zero when he was in Japan, I think that was the time I spoke to him, and I said, "Who are you least looking forward to go against?" And it was always something like anti or ally. It was basically Mario, and it's interesting how Zenyu now in the picture just shows that once again that's I believe they played at Big House 5. I know they were both in losers bracket, but I don't know if they actually played. But yeah, Mario is a very interesting matchup for Zero at least. On the other side of top 8, we had MK Leo losing to Void, and Void once again making sure he didn't get fourth at a tournament. So it looks like Void is now the forever third placer, as he got third place again at this tournament.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling well too, which it kind of sucks. I know he wasn't feeling good. He had like a stomach ache so he still performed really well for that, and I hope he heals up by the time Genesis comes.
I feel bad for Void, man. He got robbed.
Yeah, he did. I mean, things happen, but yeah.
He has reverse plot armor, where he just like is up by 100% and just loses.
I've looked away from him, like against most notably Nairo, and he's all right. Nairo's at 120. Void just lost his stock, and he comes back, and then I look back, and it's like Zero Suit Samus wins. I'm like, really? Like, so unfortunate, man. So unfortunate. With Sheik, you have to play so perfect. Like, any mistake could be capitalized into a stock against you because you're so light and fast volley. Oh my god.
All I can say about that is, hell yeah, Como. Hell yeah.
Also, one player then top 8, which is his first top 8 appearance at a this tournament. I would say, it's not major like in status like Genesis 4, but it's still like it's very well huge.
Right.
A lot of names was JK from Vegas. I know this kid. He started like when he first started playing, like people laughed at him, like, and I know he probably listened to this at one point and like DM me and be like, what up, bro? But like, no, people really like made fun of this kid when he first started playing in Vegas because like you're not gonna be any better than Foe, but like he really he lost to MVD in pools, went down to losers round 1, got through final boss. Vash, which is from Vegas, he plays him all the time. 3-0'd him, then he 3-0'd I'm Hip, and then he beat Rich Brown 3-2, and then he beat Mr. E again 3-2, which he played Mr. E in pools in 2GGT Zero Saga, beat him, and then he got to Tweak in top 8, and then he busted out. He lost 3-0. But like kudos to him because he's definitely one kid that I've seen very young, Bayonetta main, probably one of the I'd say within top 5. I mean, because it's really hard for me to judge all of them. I can't really say any one of them is the best because they all play differently. But kudos to him. Like honestly, he had a good losers run. It's his first top 8 at like a major event that he's been at, and he was really excited. And it's just nice to see that. Hopefully he gets over his nerves because I could definitely tell that on stage he plays differently than what I see him when he plays in pools in a lot of the events I've seen him at. So definitely I'll talk to him when I see him just to calm him down because like it's really hard. I mean honestly, it's difficult. It's even hard for me to like be on the stage talking on the mic. Like I just like go to poop. So like I'm glad. I'm like shout outs to him. I know it's kind of a little bit Vegas biased, but like I never really thought I would see him in the top 8. Like quite
No,
honestly.
that was the theme though. That was the theme of this tournament. You mentioned JK. was in round 1 of losers, but so was Tweak. Like, let's compare this losers bracket. He beats Charlie the King. He beats Tyrant 3-0. He beats MVD 3-0. He beats Mars 3-1. He beats Eon 3-0. He beats JK 3-0. He beats MK Leo 3-1 before he loses to Komori Kitty, who also had a very similar crazy losers. He beats Scissor, he beats Israel, he beats Fatality, DeBuzz, Javi, 6WX, Zenu. Almost the majority of these are 3-0s, basically. Let's see. So 3-0, 3-0, 3-2, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, and then beats Tweak 3-2, and then beats Void 3-2 before finally falling to 0-3-1. Like, what losers bracket runs? 3 of this top 8 were in losers in round 1 of top 48, and all 3 of these players made it all the way to top 8, beating huge names on their way.
Honestly, 2017 is already making me uncomfortable.
Like, those are some serious names that these players beat. Like DeBuzz, who is pretty much like the most consistent top 8 placer in the game, period, got, let's see, what is this, 17th?
Also, this is just for me, and this is just my own like it's just my annoyment of seeding.
13th.
I was so disappointed to see MK Leo and Javi play in winners quarters. Like I saw that and I was like, how, like, not, I know seeding is, trust me, I know seeding is hard. I absolutely know that. But like the fact that I saw Javi and MK Leo that early, like I was like, wait, hold up, like, like that's crazy to me because they play each other all the time.
I didn't want to bring this up.
No, I'm bringing it up because you invited a TO, so I'm gonna bring it up. Like, you know, like it when it comes.
I gotta talk to you about something when we get to Genesis.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I know, but like it's just, it sucks because, like, especially with countries like how you, like, how is that, like it sucks because, like, in terms, like, I know things like in pools look bad, but like, I mean, it's just, I know it was Javi's, like, his first USA event. You know, and it was like, and it sucks that he just had to play MK Leo, like, it's someone he plays all the time.
Well, didn't he steal Tweak seed, and that's why he played? Because he beat Tweak winner side, so he stole a seed, and it was supposed to be MK Leo Tweak. Oh, Tyrant, or maybe it was Tyrant then he beat. Either way, I know he stole a seed, and that's why he ended up playing him early.
I think what Bear's trying to tell you is somebody who's really good at seeding would see that. Like Bear.
That is like meta seeding.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like meta. It's like 2 levels of meta. I mean, but it sucks because, like, I really, like, that's just something you, like, in terms of countries, like, you know, you just want to make sure, like, that's double checked. Not that saying they did a wrong thing. That's just my only gripe. Like everything else is great. Honestly, like, losers wise, like upsets, like Eon was definitely the biggest upset. He was seeded 36, and then Javi and Amhip were both upsets. Amhip was, you know, he beat Tweak, and then Javi beat Tyrant. So, like, that was both an upset round. So, I mean, it's difficult to predict every single thing, but, you know, definitely, in terms of size of the bracket, like, regardless of, like, upsets or not, like, it would have been nicer if maybe, like, you know, him and Eon were in different spots or whatnot. But either way, you know, what's done is done, and I'm really happy. I don't know if you guys know this, but I helped, like, Javi actually get his visa. Like, I made a letter for him for Genesis, so that worked, luckily, and just in time. Like, it was literally like the week of. He was just messaging me. He's like, "I need your help." I'm like, "Oh shit," and, you know, and I actually did a letter for Hyuga, for Genesis 3. Back in when he's like, "Hey, I'm a Toon Link from Mexico," and I'm like, "Okay, you need a letter, that's fine." And then he ends up beating like Nairo, and I was like, "Oh crap, this guy!" I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." So, like,
yeah, no, it's something that we really need to just keep in mind that this game is one of the most international games out there, and we have so many top players from, you know, Zero from Chile now living in America. We have Komori Kitty from Japan. We have MK Leo from Mexico and Javi, and all these players coming from Europe. And we're gonna move into the Genesis talk to talk about more about what kind of things, because Bear can give us the exact numbers of how many countries and whatnot. But like this is going to be something going forward as just a staple of our game, is just the huge international talent pool that we have. But what do you guys think so far? Please always let us know on Twitter at the set count, or shoot us an email at thesetcount@gmail.com if you ever have any questions, or you think that we said something wrong, or you wanted to add to the conversation. Let us know, and you might end up on Suar's Runback. So now we're going to move into the Bear Q&A, Genesis, and I guess PGR talk first. So we want to get that over with.
Oh gosh. Hi.
All right,
Wow.
PGR talk. Let's limit it. Let's keep this as simple as possible. Basically, I think there's just a lot of people out there with some misinformation, possibly because there's so many different formats and people are digesting it one way or the other. They're not seeing the whole picture, and or their favorite player wasn't in there, and they're like, "There's no way they're top 30, but I guarantee you they were top 50, and if they're not here, then I know they're not on the tournament." And blah 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 blah. I'm sure you guys are getting super bombarded by all this, so I will let Suar and or Bear. I actually honestly don't know how involved you were.
I'll let Suar, because it's mostly his project. I just help in terms of marketing, and also just like in general, I'm just there.
Keeping me from jumping.
So Suar, yeah, Suar, this is your stage. You can talk about the PTR as we're only in day 2, and I'm sure things will change or get worse as things go on. So
It just gets worse. That's the thing. It gets worse. Well, if people are listening now, it's Wednesday. So we would have 11:20 out by now, but I don't want to chance anything because of the timing of the podcast. But at least we have had Monday, we have had Tuesday, so everything up till 31 is known. All I want to say really is just thank you. As ironic as that sounds, like, we get to do what we do because we have so many amazing players to cover and so many tournaments to analyze, and like we set up a feedback form because there's been a lot of flack, but there's also been so much more praise than last time. And I think that this echo chamber that people create when they see maybe some like top player post like the PGR is biased, and then they see maybe one other person say the same thing on like a YouTube comment, and then they go to Twitter and say like everyone thinks it's biased. It's like those are 2 people in a sea of thousands, and it starts to create this like narrative that like benefits whatever they want to think. So it's hard to combat that, but definitely compared to last time, we've had so much praise, people just thanking us, people offering advice. I mean, I think everybody starts to realize like our competitive environment is not like, it's not an esport in the same sense that Dota or Counter-Strike is, where we have these sanctioned events. We just had our first sanctioned event by 2GGC, and it's on the West Coast, and we're already seeing some of the things that have to do with centralization, which they're starting to address with more invitationals, such as the Midwest Saga. But at the same time, like, people understand, like, around the world, not everybody gets to play each other. Around the world, like, you get so many different peaks and stuff. And I think they also realize the benefit that this does to players by putting them on a sort of catalog that everyone can understand, like, unequivocally, like, oh my god, they're top 50 in the world. So I just want to say thank you. And, just we're learning, you're learning, but we're happy to be able to do what we do for you guys, and it'll only get better.
And you know what? Like, honestly, Suar, I do appreciate you. Suar actually messaged me like after Genesis, like after the crazy, everybody was like, "Whoa, best tournament ever!" And they were all excited, and I was like, "Yeah." And then Suar, like out of nowhere, was like, "Hey, Bear, I'm Suar. Do you want to do a thing?" And I'm like, "Cool." So like, and then
that's exactly how he described it too. I thought it was just Suar, but I should have known better.
No, dude.
And then that's basically how it started. And then we started PG Stats, and I was like, all right, well, let's put the team together. And and I knew Zan and Suar put together a team, and then like a few months later, we were able to crank out PGRV1, which was not as detailed in data as this one. So if you have any questions on the PGRV2, one, I would first check the methodology, just look at how that's done, and also, if you have feedback, use the forum. I posted it. It's on PG Stats. I know Panda Global's posted it. That way, like in general, a community can provide what their concerns, and also it's collectively aggregated in one place, and then the team can look at it because in the end, this we know this list changed people's lives, for better or worse, but and it's just nice. It's really like in terms of legitimization, made people feel like I'm the X ranked in the world in Smash 4 Wii U. So it's really nice to see that, honestly. Like I'm just happy that there's something out there that people can fall back on as not just like an annual ranking, because Melee just does once a year and and that's it, and it's panel based mostly, so it's not like in terms of like the way that they do it, it's mostly X Factor from in our point of view. But for I think PGRP2 has been great improvement. I do appreciate all of your team Suar. So yeah, if no one says thank you enough, I'll tell you thank you every day. And you do get those messages. Like as jokingly as they seem, I do mean them. Like even though like I'll say something crazy and then I'll be like thank you for everything. And you'll be like, what the hell? Like that's just me like being genuine, because I just remember like, oh shit.
Sage, can I break this up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we need to break it up.
Can I break this up? All right, I need to play devil's advocate so badly, and I'm ready to do this to Suar. All right,
Yeah.
Suar. X Factor equals, if you have positive X Factor, you are overrated. If you have negative X Factor, you are underrated. Yes or no?
Correct.
Okay, so everyone's clear on that. If you have positive X Factor, you are overrated. If you have negative X Factor, you are underrated. That's what that means. End
Yep.
of story. Number 2. Death doesn't play Sonic.
Honestly,
You delayed the PGR to make sure it was right. And of all the things, you have Death playing Sonic on there. So I think a lot of people are just curious, as quickly as you can, like, how did this happen? Because I think that there's also X Factors where they had 2 digits versus 1 digit. Like, it was supposed to be +2, but it was +12 or something like that. And like this is definitely like an answer where you guys delayed them. But there's some mistakes still in there, and I wanted to make sure that you clear that up rather than just talk about the process. Let's talk about those specific things.
yeah, no, I mean, more than happy to. I think that first, to understand how that happened, we do have to get out of the way that the list has been completed since Christmas, and the stages in which we delivered everything to the graphics guys was obviously first we researched our stuff, we compiled, and we did our rankings. Cool. Then we had to prepare all those figures for the guys in the videos. And like Fiasco and Keith, and then by extension False, who jumped in on the project as a lifesaver, and Sage, who will probably be involved, I'll just tell you now. They had to interpret what we gave them, and there were sometimes issues with that. With they either misread, the information was different, or I mean, there's just so many steps where something can go wrong. And this is a band of a bunch of people just trying to do a good thing, so we don't have that sort of like budget for an editor or something to the degree that a movie would have. But those things slipped up out of natural cause, and we did acknowledge that. However, none of these things were what comprised the rankings. I mean, obviously we didn't say that Death played Sonic in any of the articles.
Right. I guess the other thing is, like, didn't Day have like multiple of his placings wrong? I know Trella had a couple placings wrong, and I think that immediately set up red flags where people were like, "Whoa, you're basing these people off these ratings," and like you just want to say that there was some sort of mix-up between you guys and the graphics guys, but the actual data was correct. But
yeah, the data was fine. The thing is that before we sent everything to the graphics guys, we ran our scripts one more time, and from that we gave them the master sheet of all the details. When we ran it a second time on Day, for some reason it confused the Day from the Midwest, the girl who streams. I think I don't remember who she mains. I think she plays
Ness.
Yeah,
and Mario.
Yeah,
and
Ness and Mario. And so the script picked up her, and we had given these placings, and we had trusted the script so hard that we had just given them, accepting them at face value, because we learned not to trust Smash Wiki or brackets, because sometimes, well, not Smash EG brackets, but like challenge brackets when we did like Japan and stuff, unless they were verified by Juddy. But we learned that Smash Wiki was incorrect with placings before too. So we accepted it at face value. It took in her placing instead of his for those two events in which he got 49th at CEO and he didn't attend Big House. But when we did the data, those two placings were correct. We factored him in with a 49th and not attending Big House. But that's really hard to obviously, go over once the video's out. But I mean, for the record, yes, those rankings and everything have been done since December. Everything's been fine. And giving this to the graphics guys, I mean, it's a huge effort, and there's so many moving pieces. Each player card, front and back, has at least 20 pieces of information, 10 player cards per video. That's 200 chances to possibly mess a name, a region, a Twitter. People change Twitters. Like, it's a nightmare, but we try our best, and we do it in the end for you.
So is Santa Suar checking his list twice? Are the rest of them going to be pretty good?
They're going to be flawless. I can
Good.
at least guarantee that.
Yeah, and then I looked at some of them too later on, just an extra set of eyes, because I used to work in ad copy where like we literally had like 7 people look at one same ad, and there's bound to be something. I mean, honestly, like for even with jobs you get paid to do, and I know Suar and all of them do this on a volunteer basis, so just to clear that up, like they're not paid to do this, but even when you're doing a job that you're paid to do, you still make mistakes. So, we look it over, and now everything should be flawless. I trust the team, and things do happen, obviously. But, it's just really good lessons to learn for next time. And I'm just proud of the team for what they're doing.
Yeah, this is the first time anybody's really like took on a project of this scale. And before, as Suar talked about, it wasn't anything until all of a sudden it was something. So there's immense pressure. We understand, but Death doesn't play Sonic. Like, I don't know how
Have you seen
messed
that
that
Sonic
up.
though? Have you seen that Sonic?
Oh my god, I'm sure. All right,
Maybe it's
there's
tight.
a lot of Florida Sonics. All right, anyway, let's talk about Genesis real quick. Bear, why don't you run it by me? We were talking about how international Smash 4 is. How many states and how many countries are we up to now?
Okay, so just double checking. There's 1,011 entrants now for Wii U. It dropped down because some people need refunds.
Wait, 1,111 or 1,011?
1,011, so 1011.
Okay.
And we have 46 states. So 4 is not showing up. It's the Dakotas, and I think it's like Wyoming, and I think West Virginia are the only states not showing up.
Okay.
And then in terms of countries, we have about 22 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have a lot from Japan. We have a lot from the Latin America area. Our lowest representation is Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, and Europe. And Europe is pretty low. But Canada, like in terms of like out of country, you have the most is actually Canada, and then it goes Canadians and then it goes Japan, and then Latin America, and then the rest. So it's definitely
awesome.
Very stacked in terms of what I've seen. Honestly, in round 1, there's phase 1 pools. It seems like most of them should go the way that seeding is done. But phase 2 pools, oh man, anybody's game for winners.
It's gonna be gross. It's really bad.
It's gonna be crazy, and I can't wait to go through who I think is gonna beat where and where they're gonna place.
I'm a little biased, but I gotta ask you, Bear, how is Salem 15th, and how is he paired against MK Leo before even winners quarters? Like, how did that happen? Like, what? Yeah.
Well, first of all, Salem hasn't performed as well as people perceive he does at nationals. I mean, just looking at his like he placed 17th at Zero Saga, and that wasn't that good. And then you're like, well, but he did better than the last one. No, he placed 17th at UGC, and you're like, well, he did really good at Big House. Like, yeah, he placed 9th, but like in terms of like the past 3 Tier 1 tournaments, he really hasn't broken into top 8. And it's really hard to justifiably say he's like definitely like right in like top 8 material.
So you're talking about not like all the other tournaments that he's won or top 3, but like just the weight of the Tier 1 tournaments is what kind of like help steer the top 16.
Yeah, the way the people he has to go through, because Genesis 4 is not your everyday tournament. Like Genesis 4 is so stacked that like even if I did change him, he would have to play a Florida player or he'd have to play someone in the Southeast. So like, like honestly, like in terms of teams, like and this is to be blunt, like in terms when I do seeding, like teams is the last thing I think about. If you're if you're playing against your own team, well then your team shouldn't have sponsored two other people. like I'm sorry, like that's just the nature of the beast.
No. I'm just messing with you, but it was a loaded question, so that way you could answer what I knew you were going to say, which is tier 1 tournaments seed heavily based on other tier 1 tournament performances, and that's the most important thing. Before you look at seeding and you complain about it, make sure you guys notice that, because I know I knew that, but I wanted to make sure everyone else.
Oh, of course, no, but also like in terms of the way I do seeding, I actually will have now more so of like standings of the last like 3 to 6 tier 1 tournaments, and it's the most recents are most heavily weighted. You can. As much as like it's easy to be to like average out all the last tier 1 tournaments, like that's too lazy, but because people learn, as humans are. So I feel like in terms of the most recent performance, those have greater weight. And obviously there could be a formula that you can do and script everything, but in the end it comes down to, you want to make sure it is reflective as their most recent performance at a level of the tournament that's as caliber as this one. But also, you're not going to have like SoCal versus SoCal so early, or Mexico versus Mexico, or Tri-State versus Tri-State super early. So just going through there. So whenever people see seeding, they're like, oh my God, how's this guy like 2 digits above? It's not necessarily that big digits. It's just because I didn't want this guy to play someone he plays every single day, like in like round phase 2 pools. Like so it's never personal, honestly. I've never seen this. I never see someone being like, "Yeah, bitch, you're gonna go down." Like I've never been like that.
Yeah.
Like I love
No.
I love everybody. Like honestly, like it like as a TO, like I actually get really sad when I see someone get knocked out of a tournament. Like I genuinely be like, "Oh man, I really like that guy." Like I think the saddest person I see losing is Earth. Like he's just so adorable.
Oh God.
I hate
No,
seeing him lose.
There's a lot of feels. I noticed that in Genesis Saga as well. Just like a lot of these players, I was like, wow, these 2 players that I root for all the time one of them is going to have to knock out the other and stuff like that. And Genesis 4, like we looked at the seeding last week, and we're like, 8 of these players are not going to make top 8, and like that's just projected seeding. Like that's not even all of the other variables that we have from all these different countries and states that people just never been represented before. It's going to be a crazy tournament. So I want to point it over to Sage real quick, because I wanted to point out that VGBC was tweeting out about unions and cameras and stuff, and I thought, Sage, maybe you could talk about that kind of thing, about just streamers at a tier 1 event, especially when unions involved.
Yeah, so San Jose has super strict union laws for camera operators. So, and it's more so in California, just in general, has strict union laws for
Detroit's
camera
really bad. Detroit is really bad.
Yeah, so
But continue.
so it varies. So sometimes it's by state, sometimes it's by statey, sometimes it's by hotel. Even hotels can have on-staff camera operators for events and things that your organization has to use. So for San Jose, because of how strict their camera operator stuff is for their union laws, and because of a couple other things like costs and whatnot, Genesis 4 will not have camera operators, so all cameras will be static. And it just kind of is the nature of the beast in that we don't have enough money to pay outside camera operators, and we don't have, and like these venues are super nice and we have to use them because of the amount of people coming, but we're not quite at the point where we can just go out and hire 5 guys to run cameras.
Yeah, and also it's just esports. I mean, honestly, as an event organizer for Genesis 4, I can tell you right now, like our budget is not the same as your typical tier 1 esports event. Like, if we had the marketing, like the budget I can play with like a League of Legends event, oh my God, y'all would be blown away. Like I would hire every single union guy I need or whatever. Like budgets are not there. I mean, as awesome as we make, as like teams make streams, and as events that are run, it's really limited budgets, and it comes down to like sooner or later we're gonna have the budget there, and it's gonna be like phenomenal.
Yeah, that's just a main thing. Yeah,
that's what we need. That's what we want to move to inevitably, is that giant budget with huge teams. And I talked about it I think an episode or two ago, where like you put together a team of 21 people to do a live production, and most streams are using 3 to 4. So I mean, it's not there. It's getting there, but it's not there yet.
Yeah. So we have a lot that we want to talk about Genesis, but I'm sure we're going to spend almost the entire episode next week talking about it because I'm sure a bunch of crazy things are going to happen. So I guess I'll just go around the table. Is there any one in particular or anything in particular that you're looking forward to, whether it be the crew battle or the day 3 in that huge, beautiful arena or anything like that? Just real quick. So we'll start with Suar.
I want to see that arena again because
Yeah.
I'm obviously not attending, and that arena is like just so hype, and also there's just gonna be so much on. There's just so much for the taking, and that's just that day 3 is just gonna be so. It's gonna make everything for me. It's gonna make my entire weekend.
Sage?
Uh, this is me being a huge tech geek, but I'm interested in how they're gonna, in kind of just like how they're gonna play with the arena. Like they have this huge, beautiful stage. How are they gonna light it? What are the camera angles they're gonna use? Especially since the cameras can't move.
Well, is the Union still, because it's a different building? Bear, do you know?
It's San Jose, the city laws, not
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah. So it's how I am when I watch any stream. I look for innovation. I look for interesting things, and I actually messaged this to Bear like a couple days ago. But we work in media, and media is like if you see something great, you steal it. This is how it is. Every stream has seen something another stream has done and go, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna use that. So I'm gonna be keeping my eyes out on the production side.
Nice. Bear, what are you most excited for?
Me? I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited for the Jack and Coke after Sunday.
Wow. I mean, that's typical TO talk though. Like I'll be 100% real with you. I remember for Big House I bought a 12-pack of something. I don't remember. That shows you exactly what I'm talking about actually. But I bought it, didn't have time, but specifically for the purpose of the moment Big House 6 was over, that was going down. So we definitely have a lot of R&R coming. I'm sure you, like I, will be passed out for a couple days afterwards. Like, it'll be fun, but it'll also be a lot of work, and Bear and I will be working really, really, really hard to make sure everything goes as close to plan as we can make it.
Honestly, I'm really excited to see it all. I mean, everything. I love every single event, and you know, the event organizers took a chance of bringing me on last year. You know, and I owe them my life for it. So, you know, Genesis is definitely something I'm really proud to bring, and I hope people, you know, really appreciate Tier 1 majors for what they are, and you know, I hope you know other TOs out there, like, you know, they've definitely stepped up their game after Genesis 3, you know, and I'm really happy that we set the bar, and you know, and I want to set the bar again. As you know, as pompous as that sounds, I just want to raise the bar as much as we can.
No, it's the same philosophy with Champ in the circuit. He says, you know, pretty soon some other organization's going to jump up and raise the bar, and then they're going to have to raise the bar, so you raising the bar only makes me and Juggle Guy over at Big House go, okay, we saw what they did, now we have to do better than that, etc. So it's just good for the game. And of course, you don't even have to ask. Of course, what I'm looking forward to is seeing all the Japanese players back again. Like, that's easy. So Umeki's been doing really well, and there's a couple new faces and a couple faces we haven't seen in a while, so I'm really excited mostly about that.
I can't wait for Ocean.
Ocean's my hero, dude. He's the one who got me to stop playing DDD and start playing Corrin, because I started actually doing okay with him against Corrin, because that matchup is stupid. But
I was at one point I was like, I should seed Ocean in Mewtwo King's pool, but then I was like, that'd be bad.
Fair enough.
That'd be malicious.
Reenact that. Yeah. No. It's really cool. 8-Bit Man approached me and he asked if Ocean had a teammate yet, and Ocean's like, I'm not very good at teams. But then 8-Bit Man was like, yo, let's team. So like, that's actually really cool that we'll have a dual Rob team at Genesis now. So I'm all about that cultural exchange, so I'm super excited. But top 8 predictions. Are you guys ready?
Yeah. So I think we have to discuss this little segment that's going to be going on.
Right, so before each Tier 1 major, which we will decide that maybe once a month, we haven't decided exactly. It will probably be once a month or every other month or something. Anything that's a huge tournament like your Genesis, so your big houses, your Smash Cons, or whatever, we will predict top 8. We will get 1 point for each player in top 8. I don't care where they are. If they are in top 8, you will get a point.
Oh wait, I thought we were gonna do. I thought we were gonna go by actual placing.
No, that's so complicated. So what we'll do is
Okay.
we'll just do top 8. You just say who's in your top 8. We will document it, and you will just get an additional 2 points if you correctly predict the winner.
Ooh.
I'm down. So this is gonna be a running tally throughout the entire year, and at the end we're gonna final count the
Yo,
points.
can I just submit mine DMs? So I
No,
can feel included.
oh, you mean like after this? After
yeah,
this?
yeah. Like, you don't have to have me on. I can just submit it in DMs.
Okay, everybody.
Nah, do it.
So, who wants to start? Let's start with Suar. Are you ready?
As always. Let's see. What did I write? Okay.
Somehow I bet he's gonna say MK Leo's gonna win.
So MKLeo's gonna win. MKLeo followed by Ally, followed by Larry Lur, followed by DeBuzz actually, followed by Salem, and then Zero. And then rounding it out with 2 more, it's gonna be Void and Mr. R. That's mine.
Void and Mr. R.
So we're doing top 8s, right?
Yeah, top 8 prediction.
You just give it listing the 8 people you think will be in there. It doesn't matter if they'll be in winners, doesn't mean if they'll be in losers. Then you're going to just say who you think will take the tournament.
Easy.
All right, Sage, what you got?
All right, I am going with the guy who hasn't won a major yet, but it's his time. Larry Lur coming through with the win.
You're such a Larry
Ooh.
fan. I love it.
Larry Lur, Zero at second. Renai is gonna get third. Void at fourth. Ally and Komo Rikiri tying for fifth, and then MK Leo and Abadango for seventh.
Okay, Bear, do you have yours yet?
Yeah, I do. I'm just
Okay, go for it.
No order, because I don't
Yeah.
believe in the orders, but Renai, for sure. He's the god of like showing up in top 8s at tier 1s. Zero, I believe in Void, Larry Lur, Nairo, MK Leo, and honestly, I gotta have, like, as much as I want a PG player on there, I think Komori Kuriki is gonna make it in there. That's my 8. Is that 8? Did I say 8 or 7? Wait.
It's your list, man. I didn't count.
I did not count either.
Okay, hold on. Oh, 1 second. Renai.
Just read your list, 1 through 8.
Okay, wait. Once I had my list, I just wait. Renai, Zero, Void, Larry Lur, Nairo, MKLeo, Komorikiri. Oh, and then Anti.
Anti's your 8th. Okay.
Yeah, Anti's my 8th.
So I'm gonna go crazy a little bit. I'm gonna go with consistency, so I'm gonna go with Zero, obviously, and I'm gonna go with Void because those are the 2 most consistent top 8 players, and that's probably a guaranteed 2 points right there.
You playing the meta.
I'm gonna go with Ally, which is very unpredictable because he either does extremely well or gets like 33rd. So that's a risky one. I'm obviously gonna go with Renai and Komorikiri. They're my 2 favorite players. I love hanging out with them. I think they're probably the odds-on favorite to win doubles. And with Komo's recent placings and with Renai hot off a Tokai G qualifier, I think both of them could easily make it in the top 8. Larry, of course, because I definitely want to see Larry and Void play, but Rima's coming back, so who knows? Maybe Rima's going to knock out Larry again. MK Leo, of course, I have to say Leo. I think that he has all the skills to be up there and probably the right bracket to do it as well. But I'm going to go for my wild card pick at 8th. I'm going to go my Michigan number 1 man, Zenodo. I think it's time for Zenodo to bring it back.
Ooh.
And finally get another top 8 post CEO. I know he's been training really hard. He's been working really hard, and I'm going to put Zenodo in that top 8. There's always somebody who isn't normally in top 8 in there, like at Genesis Saga, it was JK. I think Zenodo's going to bring it back this time. So once again, that is Zero, Leo, Void, Ally, Renai, Komoriki, Larry, and Zenodo. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to say that it's either Renai or Komoriki. I'm going to say either Renai. I'm going to say Renai's going to take it.
Renai wins Genesis 4.
Yeah, you guys want to know what country you think is going to take it?
No, no.
No.
Unless it's Genesis, we can't do that consistently.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And plus, I would just say Japan every single time, and like it would become a meme. So I'll just say Japan. Japan will win every single time. And like, wait, is Zero USA? Is he Chile? Like, what are you gonna like? See, this causes so many problems. The Frostbite crew battles, I've gotten so much flack over that. Like, oh my god. And I got put on blast for not realizing that Mexico was part of North America. I thought Central America and North America were different, but that's a completely different story, and I apologize to everyone. That's probably why no one at Pulse respects me anymore. So, literally, the owners of Pulse went on Twitter and replied to that thread saying, Vayseth's an idiot. I'm sorry. Leo is not in the crew battle, even though it's North America, because he has another event at the same time as Frostbite, and it just, like, blew up, and I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. I hope that this takes off. I really hope that like randomly like this actually becomes hype, where like this is something that we just normally look forward to and everyone looks forward to, and maybe everyone can start doing it at their own leisure. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, if you guys want to follow along with our predictions, make your own predictions and keep your own point tally. See if you can beat us.
Maybe we can. Maybe I'll just make a tweet or something, and you can reply with your own predictions. You could just say winner and then like 7 other names or whatever.
Yeah, man. Keep
that'd
track
be cool.
of it. Tweet at us. Let us know when we finally tally these as we move forward. Let us know your tally. See if you beat us or if you're smarter than us in Smash 4 knowledge.
Yeah. We're running a little late today, but we have a little bit of time. Instead of doing the run back, Suar, I'm sorry. Since we had so many people tweet to ask Bear some questions, I'm just gonna rapid fire Bear some questions for some Q&A, if that's okay with you, Bear.
That's fine.
And we'll just do that for the run back.
Yeah, for the run back questions though, definitely continue to email us, continue to tweet at us. Just because if you like emailed us this week, even if it wasn't on this week, there's a chance we're still gonna go over it next week. Like we're just gonna
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just gonna build into a question database.
Yeah, we ended up talking in the first segment much longer than we anticipated, but that always happens. Anyway, Bear. From SN at SN_SSB. Bear, who are your favorite players to watch?
I'm gonna list out 3 and make it easier. I love watching Ronai. He's one of my favorites. Definitely with Villager, like my favorite Villager to watch. I love watching Earth. His pit is really good. Also, I love watching MKLeo. For some reason, he just plays with very fine finesse. Those are my 3 favorites.
Awesome. So another quick question. Okay, this is a really good question, but I'm gonna kill this name. It's Diddle, like Diddle at Alchica3. So ALCHICA3 on Twitter asks, what is something new that should be standard at all major Smash tournaments but isn't, and what's the best way to implement it?
Something new that should be standard at all major tournaments that isn't. That's hard because like new as in like. Has it never been done before, or has it been done?
Well, how about let's assume that it's something that maybe a couple people are doing that everybody should be doing. Why don't we just phrase it like that? It doesn't have to necessarily be new. I know that they ask new, but just something that certain people are doing that should be standard at all major Smash tournaments, but isn't, and how would you implement it?
Honestly, as it comes down to it, big thing about production value is compensating and taking care of your staff. I think that's really important, including commentators, streamers, stream runners. I feel like there needs to be more of a standardized budget line item for that. And I worked a lot of different events in 2016 that had different ways of gauging what's important and how much budget they allocate for each one. But I feel like that needs to be much more standardized. That way I can hire people for working an event rather than being like, thanks for being here. Here's some Smash Burger food fries, like I want to make sure that people really get paid for their work.
You're gonna bring a tear to my eye.
Yeah, man. No, and commentators too, dude. Like people don't know this, but like if I run an event, I'll leave a nice note for commentators. I'll try to get them water. I'll try to get them food. Like I really try my best to make sure everybody has a good time. And commentators are a huge deal. Like they are the reason why people watch. Anybody can watch the tournament on mute, but obviously I don't want them to watch it on mute. So I want to make sure, the people are talking on the mic for 2+ hours are, hydrated and happy and fed. Those are important, but also the staff, like people that are running around and, hidden heroes, taking photos, managing cameras. Like people in the back, like you, Sage, are just staring at a TV screen all day. Like it's just there's just like, so much that work goes in the background that like sure, tournament run smooth is great. Anybody can make a tournament run smooth without setups, but making a happy staff, that takes dedication and a good team. So I really want to make sure that people are happy when they work an event.
Yeah, and I know Sage and I have been working really hard about making sure that like we always have cases of water for staffing for commentators, and like that's just like a couple bucks at your local supermarket. Like it's really easy to get like a 12-pack for like a couple bucks, right? Sage, it's like really
Yeah, it's just like it should be a standard thing. Just
yeah, it's like not that hard.
And actually, in Genesis 4, what I did with the commentators this time, I had them send me their favorite bottled water, their favorite food, and their favorite like energy drink, and I have a whole like PDF of list of what they want. And Thursday night, I'm gonna go to the store and buy all they want out of my own money because one, I don't care. Like if I spend $100 on them, like and they're happy and they put on a good show, that's worth it.
There you go. So last question from Halogen at Halogen Talks. I'll be soon hanging out with them in Florida. I'm looking forward to it. Bear, what's your workout regimen?
My workout routine. That's a weird question. Well, okay, my workout routine. When it comes down to it, honestly, one, I walk my dogs every day for like a good few miles. So a lot of walking. But also in terms of like actually working out, like 3/4 of it is how you eat. So I kind of keep a low carb diet with high protein count. But also I do a push pull, legs and abs kind of routine. So I work out at least 3 times a week, and then I alternate between the muscles that like do pushing, pulling, or legs. But that's basically what I do. Like it's and just maintain it, and don't go too overboard with like crazy stuff when I travel. If you see me eating at an event, it's usually like a salad. If I'm not eating a salad, it's because I had a hard day and I just want to eat as much carbs as I can.
That's true. Dude, I just realized that probably before we started, we didn't warn Bear about the language, so there's going to be a lot of shines going on here. I'm looking forward to that, Suar.
Am I going to be the first one that gets bleeped?
Yeah, you're definitely going to be. I completely forgot about it, but Suar and Sage have been talking about making the curse word bleep a shine noise, and I'm super looking forward to it now. I'm so glad I didn't tell you.
Good, I can just curse for like a good 10 seconds if you want to test it out.
That was also a potential thing we were talking about doing. It's just like going on like some crazy soapbox rant where we get really ticked off, but nothing really ticked us off yet. So, but yeah, no, we're about 20 minutes over. I hope you guys enjoyed this Genesis special package with our special guest Bear. Bear, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me, and thank you guys for listening out there. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and then once again we have Suar.
See ya.
He's so dead. He's so dead from the PGR, dude. I guarantee you, he's probably just like had his mic on mute.
Goodbye.
He's just had his mic on mute and crying while looking over Twitter this whole time. I guarantee
See ya
it.
next time.
There's a
Goodbye.
broken soul behind this fake goodbye.
Goodbye.
I
No,
don't
but
know.
really, thanks everybody. It's been another week on the set count, and we really hope to bring you many more. And stay tuned to next week when we talk about the aftermath of the PGR and Genesis.
Yeah, and also make sure to hit him with the run back questions. Hashtag the run back. Suar will definitely be taking over a lot of that. And once again, we have the ever talented producer extraordinaire, Unrivaled Sage.
Bye, guys. I just want to say thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. We put a lot of work into this podcast. I've put a lot of my own time just editing and kind of coming up with clips and things like that for it and getting it out there. So I definitely appreciate all of the positive feedback that we've received, and I hope you guys continue to listen as we move on through the year.
Once again, this has been your host, Vayseth, and I will catch you guys next week.